Hey guys, how's it going? Happy New Year's, it's Soundkiller, and today I'm gonna show you and start off the year really fresh with this awesome dubstep drop. So, let's check it out. Gonna break down and show you guys how I did this really awesome aggressive drop here in FL Studio. So let's get started with this tutorial. So here we have our main bass. And our main bass is actually really complex. I'm gonna show you some advanced sound design here. And it's not gonna be on the preset because I am using some NASCO splice presets here, as you guys can see. And I have this little sub bass that I did over here. So I'm gonna start by showing you guys without any processing how this first bass sounds. So it's just a distorted sort of pluck bass. And it should be really simple to recreate, but I was just playing around with the presets, checking them out, and I really like this preset. And then the other bass that I have here is layered on top of this one. So if I play these two together, as you can see, there's a MIDI out following this pattern. This is because I'm doing something really awesome in the post-processing. So if I go here, on number 4 here on channel number 4, I have a few plugins doing a lot of work. So I have a disperser here to add that nice little sort of gun sound, sort of like extra attack in the bass. I have some OTT to squish it all together. I'm only using 29% of the OTT. I have some EQing to clean up some annoying frequencies that are happening here in the sort of low mids area. I added a texture so that I can add some more high end, some more sharpness with some white noise with this bass. I then added some more OTT with 30% and I adjusted the bands a little bit so that it glues them all a little bit together. And then I added the one last EQ cutting the low end in sort of like a shallow curve, so it's not an aggressive low cut over here. And this is all routed to track number 6, but the magic happens when I layer track number 5. So this is the sub bass that I showed you guys, which is sort of following the same principle that I showed you guys. So what is happening here on the first EQ is that I'm cutting a lot of the frequencies that I didn't want to hear in the bass. In the sub bass, I cut all of that low mid, sort of mid area, which is where the other bass is gonna live, and I cut a little bit of the high end as well. I then glued it a little bit with some OTT. And what I'm doing here with this second EQ curve is that I am lowering the high end because I want this to be a sub. I don't want the high end to be as present when it's going into my bus channel here, our main bass bus. And so what really is awesome about this bass bus is first we have some heavy distortion happening here with this kilohertz distortion, and it's set to saturate because it's more aggressive than the overdrive. So I really wanted like that really distorted and saturated sound for this bass. And I then added some serum effects, and this is where the MIDI out is going because I'm going here into the input port, and I'm every time this MIDI out triggers the serum effects, it resets and plays this automation curve. And what this is doing is this is first adding a little bit of artifacts with the downsample. So I'm faking the classic artifacts that you hear in basses with this downsample. I'm cleaning this bass a little bit with this low cut here. So if I disable the low cut here, it has a lot more high end compared to the low here, and it's a little bit more defined, the curve here. And I'm adding a little bit more curves here with the EQ as well. And what I'm doing here is I don't have any size, I don't have any decay, and I'm adding around 90 milliseconds of pre-delay so that it sounds like a bounce delay effect. So it sort of sounds like a little slap back delay happening here with the reverb. and that really adds some tone and some depth into the bass. After that, I added some simple cleaning with a simple EQ curve, so I'm cutting that low mid area here with this EQ curve. I added this custom self-made patcher preset, and what this preset does, it mimics the Virtual Riot frequency shifter, or rhythm shifter as he calls it, and it basically just divides, and I'm using this frequency splitter here, so the low end is not touched by the frequency shifter, and the high end, well, the mid high is shifted in the frequency shifter, and it's split. So you can see that split happening here. And after that, the low end, I'm using this stereo shaper to make the low end mono by just routing the left channel to both the left and the right, making it mono here. And this is a preset that you can find here. It's called LR to LL or LR to RR. After that, more gluing with the OTT, and everything is really subtle with the OTT. I'm not going aggressive with the OTT. So as you see, the max I've done so far is 30% here, and a little dip here in the low mid area, and all that is routed to our main basses, which again, some little bit more OTT, some little bit of cleaning up here in the high mid area, and some little bit of saturation happening here. And that is the general bass bus. After the main bass, we have here our secondary basses. And again, it's a custom here preset that I did, which is a one shot. I've done a tutorial on this one shot before, so it's basically just some random zero, a high detune, zero width, and it's a very, very plucky bass. Here I have some more NASCO presets here, and this one is routed to track number 8. And again, some subtle, well, not so subtle OTT on this bass. Well, we have some EQing, some more saturation, and more EQing to really clean up the bass. Here I am using another NASCO preset, and all of these presets are available to purchase in Splice. And this one is really cool. I really like the tone of this one, because when you play it really short, it has sort of like that weird tone happening to it. And this is also going to track number 8, which was the track that I showed you guys right now. And then at the end of the pattern here, we have this bass here doing sort of like a Reese effect by just jumping from an octave up and down. I added some self-made samples here as well, which are some Skrillex style growls. And they are mixed here, routed into the general bass bus, so that they glued together and they sound sort of similar, sort of the same. For the drums, I kept it simple and used some Black Lotus Audio drum samples, which are my personal favorite drum samples, and I'm not biased. They are just really high quality drums that you can get at blacklotusaudio.com. And then here I have our sidechain trigger. And for the sidechain trigger, I'm doing something really cool because I have this really short click that is routed to track number 1. And then I'm sidechaining this into the sidechain. And I have this really cool patcher preset where it takes this sidechain trigger and it converts it into a MIDI trigger, which is then fed into Shaperbox, which is where our sidechain curve is located. And what this does is this is sort of a FL Studio hack for the PDC, so that you don't have a delay when the MIDI triggers and it triggers the sidechain, and you don't have those weird sort of empty spaces when you're doing heavy post-processing. And so all that I have left here are the effects, which are also NASCO presets. Which sort of serves and functions like white noise, basically, to fill up the mix a little bit more and gives it a little more space for the drop to breathe. And altogether, it sounds something like this. And there you have it, a really awesome dubstep drop using some really common presets with some awesome techniques to make it unique, to make it your own. So, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep the channel alive and active. That way I know that you guys love the content that I make. This was Soundkiller, and I'll see you next one.